Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. In this most recent video, I tell you 3 tales. Even if you don't enjoy the narrative itself, you have to admit that the crypto basic you're looking at right now has a catchy title. An attorney for Pro XRP explains why this week might be the largest in the history of cryptocurrencies. And if this weren't crypto's biggest week ever, I'll tell you what. I'll fill you in on his subject matter. It's possible that this week will go down in history as the best for XRP holders, or at least the majority of us. There's also this news story about Ripple versus SEC. In the world of fundamental cryptocurrencies, no bold assertions were made about Judge Torres. His decision on XRP, and I think most of you have a good idea of where Attorney Dean stands in terms of the case's conclusion based on that. As we near the end of this massive case, the largest SEC non-fraud case since at least 1946, I think you'll find some of the details that Attorney Deaton gave just the other day to be noteworthy. And now this title, the substance of which is amusing not only because it was published by a crypto media outfit but also because it describes actual events. A new crypto fraud case classifies digital assets as commodities, and the CFTC files a lawsuit against the SEC. What they are really talking about is the SEC and the CFTC going to war with each other. It's a redonkulous turf battle, for crying out loud. But before we go any further, let me make it perfectly obvious that I have zero experience in either law or finance. Neither legal nor financial counsel is being provided by me. Furthermore, you should not make any financial decisions based on what I say. Just a hobbyist here that occasionally posts films to YouTube on various crypto-related topics. Following Bitcoin's recent surge to $30,000 and the impending release of Ethereum, let's dive into this first section. Attorney John Deaton has pointed out the next major events that could make this week the biggest week ever for crypto, including the Shanghai upgrade. And I'm just going to quote the original author. I don't think it's necessary for me to read the whole essay. Right here, this proves my point. This is the topic of their discussion. Bitcoin over $30,000 today, ETH Shanghai update tomorrow, reads a tweet from attorney John Deaton from just the other day. Judge Torres has made a superb and fantastic decision. If the ripple effect holds, cryptos might come up next. Massive week in history. There are several possible interpretations of that. As far as major events go, of course. Since the future of cryptocurrency is being discussed, at least in the United States, this might be the most significant week in the history of cryptocurrency. You could discuss things like how prices move. Technically speaking, if we're talking about investing in Bitcoin from the very beginning, say in 2009, then sure, there would have been bigger weeks in terms of price motion, but the multiplier effect is simply impossible to reproduce. Now, in general, the cryptocurrency market is much more lucrative. Therefore, it is relative to your perspective and the point you are making. However, I do understand the significance of this. Should we receive a favorable judgment from Judge Torres, which I believe is imminent, you won't be surprised. That's the most likely scenario, and I believe it will happen soon. Not saying that now would be overstating things. The last stretch is upon us. If that happens, and I think it probably will, then many XRP holders will have their best week in crypto. How long have you been working with crypto and distilling? Truth be told, I can't generalize that statement. And moreover, are you referring to market movement? Are you only considering the effects in the past? In terms of price activity, which is going to vary from person to person, it's simple to argue that this is a huge week relative to historical standards. However, because we've forgotten that this isn't 2022, I have no idea what will happen if this does force XRP to reach a new all-time high. I believe you would have seen a rise in XRP price if the case had been resolved favorably in 2022. However, you recently mentioned that we might be in the early stages of a bull market, which could be good news for XRP. We can expect the same beneficial outcome in this scenario, and there are good grounds to believe that one should. Attorney Deaton has provided further details. In this latest installment of Crypto Basics, Deaton offers a bold forecast regarding the direction the judge will take when deciding the fate of XRP. New forecasts regarding the ongoing dispute between Ripple and the United States Securities and Exchange Commission have been made by the pioneer of crypto law, Attorney John Dean. Yesterday, Crypto Law made a video in which attorney Alex Deaton predicted that U.S. District Judge Analisa Torres would find that XRP sales on secondary markets are not securities, saying, "I'm confident that the judge will say XRP secondary markets are not securities. Sales are relevant. Secondary market sales do not constitute the transfer of a security, and the token itself does not constitute an investment asset," end quote. Yeah. So, let's hope he's correct. In my opinion, he's probably right about it. Because, if you think back to the library case, the judge didn't have to rule that those things didn't exist for that particular case. After the library had already lost, during the remedy phase, attorney Deaton asked the judge to clarify that the LPC token used to access the library's collections was not a security. And the judge said no, explaining that he wanted to use a light touch approach. I forget the precise words the judge used, but the idea was that he wanted to be less intrusive. And he might use the word mental for no particular reason at all. My best recall is that the judge said something to the effect of, "I'm a minimalist, and it's not necessary to get the ruling that would be good, and it would be one of the gentlest ways to make LBC holders happy." So, I take it he just mentioned he doesn't keep a lot of these material around. He then casually mentioned secondary market deals. I'm not making a decision on that. That has nothing to do with this. That's why he stated it explicitly. That means LBC in the United States has greenlight's enthusiastic approval to launch nationwide. It's functioning as intended. It would have been stronger if it had been. Eddie came over and replied, "Yeah, of course. LBC. Not a safety measure, but he arrived as a minimalist, so I needn't worry about it." Here, however, is where things start to diverge, as attorney Deaton asserts that Judge Torres will rule that XRP secondary market sales do not count as securities and that the token itself is not a security, and he even quotes the judge as saying so. In that sense, it would go further than what the judge did in the library case. If Ripple were to lose, it would be even more significant given that we have confirmation, ideally before the remedies section, that the token in question is not a security. Let that happen, please. I refuse to take it further. I get that the judge didn't want to hear your library case, but if you and the Ripple people are close by and Jesus can make it happen, it would really help. And that will make it even more likely that XRP will be traded less on U.S. exchanges. That would make things a lot more transparent. And the calm hasn't broken yet. Since more than a dozen MSI filings were filed in favor of Ripple, attorney Deaton was optimistic about a positive verdict for XRP. Here's a quote from the article in question. "I say this because a number of organizations have filed amicus briefs in support of XRP, including the Coinbase Amicus Blockchain Association, the Chamber of Digital Commerce, Spin the Bits, Tap Jets, Tap Network Tap Jets, Which Jets with Flying Sky Tap Jets I Remit, and many more." That is correct. This is something else she does as well. It's acceptable then, under some circumstances. This is extremely unusual, as there are many amicus briefs available. From talking to lawyers in the XRP community, I've learned that this is unusual. The fact that this case has the backing of so many XRP holders, roughly 76,000 individuals, is also unprecedented. That's unprecedented, and it's happening to us now. As members of the community, we also have XRP. This is really neat stuff. According to Deaton, everything is fine, but the judge in the continuing dispute feels morally obligated to address the concerns raised by Bitcoin enthusiasts despite the fact that she does not mention them in her ruling. That is what I have in my possession. That fits in with the arguments I've been making as of late. I get that she's under no obligation to do it at all. But think about everything that happened before the trial ever started. Consider the early recognition of the need to expand phone lines to accommodate those who wish to participate in pre-trial hearings by dialing in from far and wide. I forget how small the original figure was, but it may have been in the dozens or perhaps the high hundreds before it was inflated. The number of people who could attend future sessions was raised to 4,000. And those were consistently used to capacity. And then you have the judge being all like, "Yes, I want to see everything," and Attorney Dean representing 76,000 XRP holders. "All the arguments and amicus briefs are welcome, please present them to me." That's a really solid clue. The significance of this is not lost on her. So, technically speaking, Initiatives is doing the morally right thing. If Dina, the lawyer, doesn't have this right, I get where she's coming from. She also fails to emphasize that XRP is not a security that can be used to harm or ruin companies. Not a lot of it, either. Actually, that's the case. Indeed, it will. This piece includes: Dean claims that SEC XRP judge tours will not want to delay or postpone making a ruling. Transactions in the dairy market, as she's an excellent arbitrator. Great judgment, that is a direct quote. After that, Deaton remarked, quoting himself, "I don't think she will try to avoid them. For the reasons stated in the aforementioned quote, as well as because I believe attorney Deaton to be on point. However, we still have to put up with Janet almost jackass-ass Jackery's foolishness for the time being." Idiot. That right there is the definition of jackass. That's the guy we have to put up with. SEC insider Jackass 3 will reveal his assets in light of recent developments at the SEC. The SEC's asset pricks. They are fighting the SEC like alley-cats fighting over territory. Suddenly, a scene from an old Family Guy episode came to me. It's like Peter Griffin and the cat, they're circling each other, and maybe you want to talk to them about it. The CFTC and the SEC are like two stacks of bricks, with the bricks representing various types of assets. The SEC side, if you will. And it's interesting to watch this all develop. So, have a look at this. Because it's completely and utterly ridiculous. With major organizations fighting it out like this, how in the world can anyone say that the United States has reached consensus on crypto? I don't understand how you can do that. The latest crypto fraud and misappropriation case sees the CFTC once again defining digital assets as commodities, this time naming Bitcoin ETH and thus that stablecoin as such. Then, let's take a breather. As of late, it's been declared that anything that isn't Bitcoin is a security. He also said that stablecoins in particular would be considered securities, which is amusing because who the hell would put money into a stablecoin with the expectation that it would increase in value in the future? This is especially true once we start applying the Howey test, which defines a security as an investment with the expectation of a profit. Seriously, who the hell would be that ignorant? Seriously, who the hell would be that ignorant? Irritates me to no end, people. In any case, the ceasefire holds. The CFTC and the SEC continue to argue over who should regulate cryptocurrency transactions. The SEC's Gary Gensler, in his capacity as chair, has continued the agency's crackdown on the cryptocurrency industry, maintaining that all cryptocurrencies other than Bitcoin are securities. In the meantime, the CFTC has reaffirmed under Roston's leadership that Bitcoin and stablecoins like us are commodities. Now, look at this, because this is where things become exciting. I won't bore you with the entire quick quote because it's on your screen, but suffice it to say that the Commodity Futures Trading Commission has filed a civil enforcement action against former Deutsche Bank investment banker Rashawn Russell in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York, alleging that he engaged in unlawful trading of digital assets like Bitcoin, Ether, and USC. That contradicts what the SEC has just stated. They haven't even recognized Bitcoin as a legal entity yet. Even though the current dictator of North Korea, Kim Jong-Gensler, has stated that the SEC views this as a non-security threat, no such declaration has been made, and no corresponding technology exists. Therefore, it's safe to assume he won't be going after Bitcoin. However, can we be sure about that? For the most part, that's correct. So, here's what you've got on the subject, and these are such good points that I felt compelled to emphasize them. Coinbase's chief legal officer, Paul Grewal, is on your team. The following is what he said in reference to the aforementioned tale. Again, a similar federal agency had contradictory statements. Meanwhile, another U.S. attorney's office has decided to file wire fraud rather than securities fraud in a related criminal case after conducting its own evaluation of the underlying asset. The world no longer looks at us with fondness. They are now giggling uncontrollably. Dead on. Again, I regret not being more outspoken about such nonsense in the recent past. Perhaps this is a defense of Ripple and XRP in general, but it is what it is. And this video is going to go off on a tangent. My opinion on that, if you must know. Eric Voorhees, creator of the cryptocurrency exchange Shapeshift, retweeted it and added the following comment. The SEC and the CFTC may not be able to come to terms on ETH and USC. If that's censored, how on earth is anyone going to evaluate any of the other 1,000+ odd and esoteric assets? Like Gary Gensler's moral compass, the law is crystal clear. Definitely dig it. This lack of clarity in the crypto world is obvious to anyone with even a modicum of intellectual honesty. Many people are desirous of to play by the rules, and all they want is to run legitimate enterprises. It's disgusting, and they are being attacked for it. We concur, after all. Bad apples exist in every field, you should definitely go after them. They are the ultimate no super duper, and you won't have much luck getting people to back your nonsense. Simple enough. What about the remainder? Where are all the decent performers hiding? Mitch, you're my veg steamer. Please don't think of me as a financial advisor. Nothing they say should influence your buying or selling decisions. Finally, I'd appreciate it if you'd give my channel a thumbs up and subscribe. Alright, folks, till the next video.